Hey, everybody, welcome to The Blacklist, the show where we interview the elite. On my right, we have Tony, who's a speaker. He is the author of Side Hustle Millionaire. He's also my friend. I've known him for a few years. Met him in person probably like 3 years ago, maybe.
Maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah, actually, was it? I think it was pre-COVID.
Mastermind in Beverly Hills.
Yeah, exactly. So he has grown a ton, and plus he's a coach and a mentor to a lot of people. We're gonna get into his story, but for people that don't know you, this is their first time listening in. Who is Tony, and what do you do?
Well, the short version is that I'm a skateboarding comedian that travels and does a lot of vacationing every month.
Yeah,
And
nice,
also
nice.
help people start, scale, and exit their companies.
Yeah. How did you get into that?
Well, it's just really 20 something years of experience of starting and selling my own companies. And people kept coming to me and asking me for advice for really the last 15 years.
Yeah.
So I helped some of my former employees and staff build 7, 8, and 9-figure companies over that last period of time. And I just started thinking about, man, if people keep coming to me for this advice, like maybe I should be focusing on helping people do that.
Right. And I've noticed too, because I've been following you a lot on Facebook.
Mhm.
I've been noticing that, there's a certain group of like either people or individuals that are probably just not doing it correctly.
Yeah.
They're trying to just make another buck instead of actually trying to help out. And I do see you not calling out the industry or anything like that, but I do see you just taking a different route. Why is that? Do you feel like it's because there's a lot of, just pay me and then I'll give you this, or
Yeah.
what do you think?
I think when you're looking for a coach or a mentor, one of the questions you should ask is, has that coach or mentor achieved what you want to achieve before they became a coach?
Right.
Because I think in this industry, and you know very well as I do, is that there's too many people out there that do the fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
And there's literally groups that will teach people to fake it till they make it. And I don't agree with that, because think about this. If you're standing in line for something and you're paying your dues, how do you feel when someone just walks in off the street and cuts to the front of the line and they think that they're going to be entitled to deserve the things that you've been working for? And
Yeah.
I don't think anybody would like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you, and I think a lot of people here, like now, there's just so many people that are like, I'll teach you this, I'll teach you that, I'll teach you this. And that's like their main business.
Yeah.
They don't actually do it for themselves. They just kind of like, the way that they make money is they're selling you how to do it, right?
Yeah, man. Go rent the Lambos, go rent the mansions, pose in front of them. You got to have both doors open, though. That's very important.
Right,
Because
right.
if you don't
Yeah.
have both doors open, people know that you just saw it in the parking lot.
Exactly. So who's your ideal avatar? Who are the people that are, not into that type of stuff and are more into what you're teaching?
The thing that when you get into coaching is your message and your avatar kind of changes over time, because if you could put aside your ego and start to listen to what the market demands of you,
Yeah.
you start to move towards that. So early on, it was like you said, that book is how to get from 0 to 7 figures.
Yep.
Kind of the mindset and really the hand-holding process of starting your LLC, how to name it, how to brand it, how to marketing. But that was early on. That was 2018 when that book came out. And nowadays, my clients are typically 7 and 8-figure earners who already have some kind of level of success. And they're really a crossover with your audience, because they're people who have created income but haven't discovered influence.
Right.
They haven't learned how to position themselves in authority and build themselves and put their personal brand out there. And it's really uncomfortable for them.
Yeah.
And that's who I used to be. And the thing about it is that there's too many people out there that, are catering to people who they really can't help. They don't have the right mindset yet. They don't really understand business very well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do have groups that are kind of the beginner levels, but my one-on-one clients tend to be the people that are 7 and 8-figure business owners.
Right. Kind of walking back a little bit, when you first, did Side Hustle Millionaire, the title is very catchy, right?
Yeah.
Because when you're thinking about side hustles, it's like you're putting a little bit of time in here, and not necessarily it's your main focus. And did you create this based off of like the 4-hour work week or things like that, because it was kind of like a hot topic, or what was the thought process behind it?
Man, I love that you brought up Tim Ferriss's book, because that thing came out in 2008 or 2009.
Yeah.
And I sold my first company in 2007.
Nice,
So
nice.
the title Side Hustle Millionaires, because I built and sold a 7-figure business for millions of dollars that I built in my spare time, operated in my spare time, had a really demanding oil and gas career.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I was off the internet for weeks at a time. I was offshore in different countries, and I had to be able to use processes and systems to be able to build the companies that operate without my presence. And so the title actually gave me heartburn. It actually came from my editor, Mike Fallett. He named the book. I wrote the manuscript as The Hustle because it's punny. I used to be a billiards player, 9-ball in college, and the hustle and grind was like punny.
Yeah.
It's punny. And he's like, dude, that title sucks. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's like, you're the side hustle millionaire. And I was like, oh man, that sounds arrogant. It sounds kind of pompous. That's not me, man. That's not my character. And he's like, well, sleep on it. And then we got up and we had a morning meeting, and he's like, okay, which of these words is a lie or doesn't make sense to you?
Right.
Did you or did you not build businesses on your side? Yeah, I did that. Did you or did you not become a multimillionaire because of that? Yes, I did. So he goes, what the hell's the problem? And the problem, dude, was I wasn't the right person to carry that big title. I hadn't invested in myself to be able to get on microphones or stages or get in videos. A lot of insecurities. Prior to 2015, you couldn't get me in front of a camera or on a stage or anything like that. So I realized in that moment the title was accurate. I had to build myself to become the person to carry that message.
Yeah, that's powerful. And I think you have, because I remember a time when you were like, yeah, you started joining Toastmasters, and like your public speaking just went a lot up. You know, you did a lot more, and now you're speaking a ton. You know, you have your own show. Like, it's actually a top rated show too. So had a lot of great guests on it and things like that. So you're a testament to like living up to, you know, what you want to live up to, essentially, right? Now, for people that are, we'll dive into like the one-on-one stuff, but for people that are interested in this, that they're at 6 figures, they want to go to 7 figures, what they're going to learn is systems and processes and things like that, or what can they expect?
Yeah, the first 2 chapters in the book are actually conquering all the common excuses about why you shouldn't start a business. Like, I don't have time, I don't have money, I don't know how.
Yeah.
Like, what I did is I interviewed over 100 entrepreneurs, and we put their answers together so that you could see that you have the exact same excuses as them.
Right.
And then I give solutions to all those excuses, and I get you right into the mindset, because you know most people are really scared about doing things, especially something new, whether that's a fitness journey or starting a business or just doing something outside of their norm. They're worried about the potential criticism and the judgment of their friends and their families. And guys, shocker, you're going to have that.
Yeah.
You will absolutely have that as soon as you start making noise, because there's a lot of people out there maybe watching this or listening to this like, oh, Tony, Ulysses, I don't have any haters. I don't have any critics. Guys, I hate to tell you, if that's you, you're not doing anything worth noticing, because as soon as you start to do something worth noticing, you will have both of those.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's pretty natural, you know? It's almost impossible to be liked by, actually, no.
It is impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ, trying to save the world. Had haters, had naysayers, had murderers.
Yeah.
Mother Teresa, anybody, Martin Luther King, anybody that changed history had all of those.
Yeah. And so, you know, how do you help people transition from, you know, not wanting, like, for example, people want the gold without digging the dirt, you know, man. Like they want to have the business without having the haters. Like, how do you help them transition to knowing that it's pretty normal to have both?
Man, inside my group, we actually do this thing called Celebrate the Hate. So we encourage people to do their videos every day, and do all the content creation, put themselves out there, get really uncomfortable, just like I was back in 2017 when I started the first videos. And when you get that first negative comment or hater comment or response, screenshot that shit, bring it back to the group, and we'll celebrate it with you, because it means you finally did something worth noticing. Now, we're not telling you to go be antagonistic and stir stuff up and that, but if your intentions are good and you're doing things for the right reason and you still get the negative comment, come celebrate that with us, because we'll be like, hell yeah, good, first hater, awesome,
100%.
Many more to go.
Yeah, I think nowadays, I think there's a ton of them now.
Yeah,
I think they're all very loud, actually. You know, like, especially if you're trying to do something, like, there's just so many people that are either, you know, fed up with their life, or who knows. But I think the world today is very divided. You know, do you believe the same? Do you believe
absolutely.
The same?
I think, you know, there's 2 things that make people feel invincible: keyboards and steering wheels.
Keyboard. That is so true, dude. Because when somebody has road rage, it's like, oh my gosh, they can do anything. Right?
Yeah, and then they get out of the car and it's like some sweet little grandma that's like, oh, you know, I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. And then true, you know, keyboard warriors. Why do you feel like, you know, and this is off topic, but why do you feel like there's such a divide today?
Man, it's based on the media that we see. I mean, you think about this news, whether you're a CNN or Fox person, both of them suck equally.
Yeah.
And they understand that they have to get their people emotionally invested into whatever they're putting out there that day. So, you know, the same goes for people that are kind of in the influencer space. They know who their antagonistic audience is. We're not trying to win the other side over to come listen to us.
Yep.
We're trying to serve our existing audience and then amplify them. So use an emotional energy to do that. And so people consume the news in the morning. That's like the worst thing you can do. If you read the newspaper or watch the news every morning, that's a miserable fucking life.
It's all negative.
It's miserable because it's like, oh, so-and-so got murdered last night, and these people died, and these people stole money, and these people are going to jail. And, you know, it's like, why would anyone want to start their day with that negative energy? You might as well just get punched in the face while you're still laying in bed.
Right. What do you do in the morning?
I had this really long commute from my bedroom to the coffee machine. And then I have this extra long commute from the coffee machine to my studio. And the mornings for me, I don't get into the whole like, let's do breathing work and yoga and the cold plunges and all the whatever's cool today. Something will be cool tomorrow. Like that's cool today. And I don't believe in the miracle morning, although I'm a morning person. So what I find is that when you're no longer working a corporate job, when you're no longer having to set to a set schedule, you need to start listening to your body. And you start to realize what part of the day is your mind like on fire. Like you're ready to do things that are creative, analytical, you're building things, you're in that creative zone. So for me, that's 5:30 a.m. to about noon every day. And so why would I want to go to the gym when my mental acuity is there, when I should be focusing on things that are creative, building things and writing and all these things that require mental process. And now 2 in the afternoon, when I'm kind of mentally kind of dull, like most people after lunch, that's when I go to the gym. Like start to listen to your body and start to guard that creative zone. And so that's my morning routine is I just like to do all my content creation, my videos, my writing, all that in the morning. And then I do all the physical things in the afternoon.
Yeah, that's smart. And I think that's smart because, you know, a lot of people in the morning, they'll do the breath work, they'll do the meditations, they'll, you know, drink their coffee, they'll read a book, they'll do all that type of stuff. And then by the time you know, it's like 9 a.m., you know, and then you finally get started. And for me too, like I agree, like in the morning, I am just more productive. By the time it hits noon, I'm like out, you know, like
I want to get that nap, man. I want to
right?
get the nap in if you can.
I know it's just harder now because I have a kid, you know, so it's like
when the kid naps, you nap. See,
exactly.
You gotta align that thing.
Yeah, I do. Okay, now let's talk about some of the one-on-one stuff that you do for your higher level clients. When they come to you, what is it that they're mainly looking for?
You know, the thing is they don't really verbalize what they're looking for, but I can tell what it is for the most part. You know, and you know, a lot of times when we talk about financial success, they've been pursuing that for years and they've reached some level of comfort. And you know, some people come in and like, oh yeah, I want to go from 7 to 8 figures, and they hear this because that's the jargon that we see on the internet.
Yeah.
You know, they think, hey, I'm only a 7-figure business owner. I'm not a good business owner until I'm an 8-figure. Then you got the 8-figure guys like, I'm not a good entrepreneur as an 8-figure until I become a 9-figure. So they're chasing ego.
Yeah.
They're chasing revenue numbers. And you and I both know that there's 8-figure business owners. That's 10 million plus for you guys that are kind of wondering what I'm talking about, that don't make any money. There's literally $50 million business owners that lose $1 million a year.
Yeah.
So you think about that. The solopreneur that's a $3 million entrepreneur that nets $1 million a year is actually a better entrepreneur than someone's a 50 million losing $1 million a year.
Yeah.
The guy that's selling hot dogs outside of the baseball stadium probably has a higher profit margin than some of these 8-figure business owners. So quit falling for the bullshit out there that's talking about the top line revenue as their marketing approach. Like, oh, 7-figure this, 8-figure this, 2-comma club that, 3-comma club. Like, it's all bullshit. So real business owners will talk about profit, because most people that don't like profit are very uncomfortable talking about it.
No, that's true. That's true. And I agree with you. Like a lot of people are trying to get to that number. You know, I want to be a 7-figure, 8-figure entrepreneur. And that's just because like in today's day and age, it means something to say that, you know, like you've grown this business to X level, but you're right. Like, you know, in the back end and like in their finances, if it's not a high profit business and if they're just, you know, they could hate their life. Like, we shouldn't look at the superficial stuff.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is like you're teaching them or kind of coaching them on what matters.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is it that you want in your life?
Yeah.
What level of freedom do you want in time and location and the people you want to spend time with? What is it that you truly want? If you could put aside the egos and the commas and all the revenue talk, what do you want your ideal life to look like? Now, if your life, hey, I want a giant garage full of cars and a mansion in different countries. Okay, that's your goal. Like, that's awesome. Like, let's go get that.
Yeah.
But you find a lot of times people already have what they want. Like, they're already living their dream life, but they're chasing numbers thinking that there's some kind of fulfillment on the backside of that. And guys, in my 20s and 30s, like most men, I kind of sacrificed my physical, my mental health, and my family life to go pursue money, and I made that money. Then you start to be, you know, what people would call rich for at least a dozen years. And you start to realize, like, that wasn't all worth that. Like, I would have done things a little bit different. Probably had a better outcome, actually, if I would have had more clarity. But, you know, we're taught to work hard and do things and hustle and grind. And people that, you know, glorify that crap on the internet, they're really just putting out a calling card like, dude, I'm too stressed, I'm too anxious, and I'm hoping that there's other people just like me. And that's not what you want, man. So I look at what is your goals, move the egos out of that, start to build the actual dream life. And sometimes if that requires the hard work up front, which it always does,
Yeah.
that's required. So go do that.
Especially like in the beginning, for sure, you need to, right? Because you don't have any funds, you don't have anything else. Like that's just, it's kind of mandatory. I feel like for everybody that's not like a trust fund baby, right?
Yeah.
But I like what you're talking about. You know, for for people that are watching that are probably younger, and you've kind of gone through the whole thing, and you said you would do things a little bit differently. What would you do differently so that way people like me don't make the same mistake?
Man, the number one reason I hire a mentor or a coach is mistake avoidance. When you boil it all down, it's mistake avoidance, and that's based on experience, wisdom, and time, and learning lessons from multiple clients. I mean, it's no different than when you go to a marketing agency. They have a portfolio of clients that they get to dabble with and experiment with, and they can see the results over here, and they can apply that to their other clients. And with a good business coach or someone that's in a mentorship role, they've had years of experience of seeing different industries, different people, different decisions, and they can use the mistakes or the lessons we learned from all these other things to learn what we're doing today. So, mistake avoidance kind of is what it boils down to.
Yeah. Is there something like, for example, like, hanging out with your family? Like, how did you, how would you have redone it in the past? Because was there a time when you were just like constantly working and you weren't with family, and or how did that look like, and what would you do different?
Man, to me, it's a masculine mindset that we are really taught in society to do what it takes and pay your dues, and you got to be the man, and you got to be the provider, and you got to be like all that. All that's true, right? But they always tell you to go sacrifice and go do things and like make it harder on yourself.
Yeah,
like that. And it's like if you're not working 60 hours a week, you're not a man. I mean, literally, when I was working blue collar jobs as a pipe fitter, as a welder, out in the restaurants, people in the lunchroom would brag about how many overtime hours they were working.
Yeah.
Like that was a symbol of like, I'm more of a man than you because I work 60 hours a week, crushing that OT, bro.
Yeah.
Look at my new dually, my side by side, and I got this and that. And like, bro, like you're 50 years old and you're still making the same money you were at 30 because you haven't elevated your career. You haven't developed new skills, new knowledge to create the next income level for yourself.
Yeah.
So everybody, I call those the characters the Bubba because they were always nicknamed Bubba.
Yeah.
Bubba of the lunchroom. You got that in corporate too, in white collar setups where people just humble brag about what they've achieved. It's like, yeah, you've been saving a little money here and there for the last 20 years. Like you're not really ahead of me. You're like, we're at the same level, bro.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And then, so now, like you're coaching, you're doing a lot of that type of stuff, but what's the future look like for how you want to live your life? Because I think you're just getting started pretty much. Because when you first started like speaking on stage, doing that, that's kind of stepping into who I think you want to be. How does that look like in the future?
For me, my wife and I, we love to travel. And that was always part of our, we've been together 21 years. And, it's part of the thing that we want is time freedom and location freedom.
Yeah.
I want to be able to be wherever I want, to be able to operate the businesses that I want. I love brick and mortar businesses too, but I don't personally want to run one of those because I have the time and location freedom. So it's good to be able to respect and admire different types of industries and businesses, but everybody that's listening has a different set of goals in their life. So you have to ask yourself, what is the non-negotiables that you have in your life?
Yeah.
What are the things that you won't cave on? Because you know this and I know this because we get deal flow and people are always coming to us opportunities and, hey, Ulysses, can we joint venture? Can I do this? Can we collab? And you get all those things when you start putting your name out there. And you have to ask yourself, like, yeah, that's an opportunity. And the younger version of me would have been,
let's do it.
I can make some money doing this. Let's do that.
Yeah.
I can put that in my calendar. Let's do that. But nowadays I look at myself and go, does that check my non-negotiables box? Does it have the time freedom, the location freedom? Is it the people that I actually want to collaborate with? Is this a mutually beneficial relationship? Is their intentions pure? Are they just trying to ride on my coattails? Like you have to audit all these things. And if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no.
Yeah. And going back to location freedom, don't you have an event coming up in Portugal?
I do. That'll be our 5th live event. We do these like small mastermind events. And that was a result of going to all these different events as attendees and as a speaker.
Yeah.
And realizing like, what if I was going to build a badass event, what would that look like? How would that feel? How many days is that? And so we always try to pick bucket list locations that people would vacation to or would like to visit anyways.
Right.
To give you guys an idea, like past events, we hiked Zion National Park in Utah.
Nice.
We whitewater rafted in Glacier National Park in Montana. We rented out a car racing school in Arizona. All the attendees got to do a full day of performance driving training.
That's cool.
And then we went to Mexico and the Chichen Itza pyramids and saw that. And now we're going to Portugal to go visit Lisbon and the wine country in Porto. So these events are usually 4 to 5 days long.
Yeah.
And I only invite speakers that will participate in the actual event, because I don't like speakers that just come in and dance on the stage and they're out the first
Leave.
flight. Like, oh, I got this thing I got to go do. And it's like, no, you're not going to come to my event. I mean, I appreciate your interest, but our attendees are all VIPs.
Yeah.
And we like that. We share all the meals together and we build strong bonds. And when you spend time doing things that are physical and mental and spiritual, and you work with these people for 4 to 5 days, you build these little micro families. Each event becomes its own little family of about 40 people, is kind of the small format. And so we get really excited about trying to make things cool and exciting and visiting some cool places.
Well, in 4 or 5 days, like what are you packing in those 4 or 5 days? So because that's a long time, right? Like somebody would go to someplace 4 or 5 days to just travel and you know. So what's in? I mean, you don't have to break down the itinerary, but give us a brief about like how that looks like.
So it's probably opposite of what most people would think, because when they hear like a speaking event, 4 to 5 days, you're probably envisioning the event flyer that's got a bunch of photoshopped heads on it.
Yep.
Like rows and rows of fire hose speakers, and like, holy crap.
That's so normal now.
Like, I hate those events. I don't like speaking at those events very often, and I don't like those events because you and I both know this. We go to these events and we speak on the stage, and then the host will tell you to stay in the green room because only the VIP can access you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I never liked that. I was like, dude, like there's hundreds of people out there, maybe thousands of people out there I would like to meet. I'd like to meet them too. Like, why can't I go mingle with them? Well, these people paid extra. So then you realize like it's a transactional thing. It's not really like based in integrity. Like the first 4 events we built, we broke even on it. It wasn't a profit thing. It was like, hey, how do I get people off their keyboards to come meet each other, to build a stronger community and actually make some good networking, right?
Yeah.
And so 4 to 5 days, we only have 6 hours of speaking total.
That's good.
We put it all on the same day, because I know as an attendee, as a speaker, that anything beyond 6 hours, you can watch the audience. Like if you're that 7th hour speaker, 8th hour, you could just see them kind of fading, and
they're not listening anymore.
They're kind of sloping back, and you know they're looking at their phone because everybody's busy. And so, man, if you're like a day 2, like late afternoon speaker, you probably have like half the audience as the day 1 people did. And so,
or like if you're right after your lunch too.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, because you got
to be the energy guy.
Exactly.
And that's a good one for you guys at organizing events. Like you better put the high energy person right after each lunch.
Yep. I see. I messed up with that when I did my event. Like I didn't have the high energy. I had the financial people.
Oh no! You got analytical after lunch.
So everybody was like, you know, they just weren't listening. They weren't paying attention. You could tell. And that sucked, you know. But like, yeah, I realized like, oh no, I needed to put somebody like Cody Jefferson or somebody like that, you know, that can elevate the stage right after. Yeah.
Wake these people up.
Yeah, exactly. And so if you don't mind sharing, like who are some of the people that are going to speak at your event?
Well, Marcus Aurelius Anderson is one of them. He's a TEDx speaker. He's also a mindset coach. I've known him from the Arte Syndicate for the last 5 years. He's got a pretty good audience. And a really calm guy. He's got an incredible story. He was actually paralyzed from the neck down from a military accident.
Damn.
And he was laying in bed for several months, not knowing if he'd ever walk again. But eventually he actually had full recovery, and you know, he does martial arts and stuff right now. So he's got a really inspiring story. And he talks about adversity and how that's the thing that you should embrace.
Yeah.
And one of the other speakers is Tony Van Schoik. She's one of the co-founders of it's a multi-level marketing company, but it's a $3 billion company.
Yeah.
And she's going to come and talk about leadership and recruiting and what it takes for the core values to grow a company that size.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a lot of people out there that don't like network marketing, multi-level marketing. I'm also a skeptic. I interviewed on the show and I asked her the tough questions.
Yeah.
But she answered them completely honest. And she's like, doesn't work for everybody, but here's some results. And, you know, she makes millions of dollars a year in profit just for herself. And she's just part of a team. So I got an awesome personal branding expert that's coming out there, Jonathan George. He's a 50-year-old dude that's been in the music industry and the film and the TV industry. And what I like about him is he and I spoke in an event, and he doesn't sugarcoat this, because a lot of personal branding coaches are like, you can do better and yay. And he's just like, bro, like, no, change that, quit saying that. Like, he's very direct, respectful. And I think that when we're talking about personal branding or putting yourself out there, we need people that are actually telling the truth. And he's got the wisdom and the experience. He's got clients
instead of like
millions
just the
and millions
buzzwords.
of followers.
Yeah.
So he just tells it like it is. Like, here's the proven things. You can argue if you want, but here's what's going to work. And that works.
Right. Well, for people that are watching and, you know, they're interested in, you know, potentially joining like the one-on-one stuff and, kind of hiring you, where can people find you?
Yeah, my website's 365driven.com. So 365driven.com.
And then what about your personal stuff? Like on Instagram or Facebook?
It's all there. I mean, I'm 365 Driven on Instagram. If you guys see this and you have some questions, want to reach out to me or just give me some comments and tell me how bad I sucked, I'd be glad to hear it. I want you. I need some new haters, guys. I need some haters.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you being on the show.
Hey, man, I appreciate you having me on this. It's been awesome to hang out with you and awesome studio, brother.
Thank you, dude. Thank you.